I understand your understanding of
Khalid Janahi,
history.
do you feel that there's any grounds for optimism that the right people are talking at the moment, or not?
Well, if you're going to lose optimism, I mean, as I said at the beginning, people are the most important thing, the human beings that we're talking about. From a Palestinian perspective, I think before we blame the world at large, we should basically look at ourselves too. I mean, I see what I hear today is a good thing to hear. We got to look at ourselves. We got to basically blame our leaders, blame the Arab world before we blame the world. Because going and blaming the world for what's going on is not a good thing. We got to basically fight it harder. That
point from Rabbi David Rosen about the role of religion, in other words, extending it even further. Both of you are nodding agreement. First of all, Dori Gold.
I think Rabbi Rosen's point is excellent and very important. I think ultimately the identities of the people involved in the negotiations are rooted in religious identities. The people coming from the Palestinian side are, for the most part, Muslims and aware of Islamic tradition. Those who come from the Israeli side are steeped also in a Jewish background, and therefore I believe a meeting point of religious leaders would be very important to fight against the corruption of religion, the distortion of religion. You know, I remind you that I'm speaking to a group in Morocco. Several centuries ago, Moroccan Jews and Moroccan Muslims would leave Morocco and cross North Africa together. The Muslims would go to Mecca for Hajj. The Jews would go for a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. We have a tradition of coexisting, living together. We have had difficult times in our history, but there have also been bright sides. When the Jews left Spain under the Inquisition and found a home in the Ottoman Empire, many came to the land of Israel, to Eretz Israel, to live. There is a basis for us looking to a past to construct a new future, but we need an ideology of real coexistence and not an ideology of who's to blame and retributions and not looking forward.
All right, Hussam Zomlot, you nodded agreement as well with Rabbi Rosen.
Absolutely, absolutely. Rabbi, religion could be a double-edged sword. Unfortunately, it has been the sharp one cutting all of us so far. I agree with you. It has to be the other side of the sword. And the other side, Judaism, is a religion that I was raised by my grandfather to look up to. He always told me, eat with a Jew, go out with a Jew, live with a Jew. It's a religion that has the Ten Commandments. I just arrived from the U.S. The Jewish community in the U.S. are the Democrats, are the ones who supported Martin Luther King, are the ones who are with the civil rights. The problem is when it comes to Israel. All this changes, all this is transformed into confusion. I want to see what is Jewish in preventing the people of Gaza from having nets to go fishing. What is Jewish of preventing a woman delivering her baby on a checkpoint? This is not Jewish. I think Judaism is free of all these accusations.
You're asking, are the right people are talking? I'm not going to comment about the gentleman on the TV, but I will comment about our brother in Palestine. How are you expecting two brothers to make peace with their cousin when they cannot make peace between each other? You can't. Hamas and Fatah has to make peace between each other, and then they can go and negotiate with power.
It's a very legitimate and profound question at the moment.
Not only it is possible, Nick, but it is an absolute necessity for
Is it achievable?
It's achievable, and I have good news for you that our colleagues now are doing a good job. They're good news that things are very close to a breakthrough. I think Palestinians know that this is a top priority.
What is blocking it?
Very logistical details. So far, I believe we are very close to resolving this. We are waiting for the Hamas leadership to come along and sign the Egyptian paper. We have been talking to them in various capitals in the Arab world. The most important thing is that there is a popular pressure underneath all the politicians that this is a necessity. There is a Fatah decision that this is a top priority. There is a Palestinian leader who knows that this has to be achieved as soon as possible. And I believe Hamas has a long way to go, but there has been some achievements. The bottom line is there is the siege on Gaza. There is the siege on Gaza. There is, of course, and by the way, you have among you here people who are in the lead of trying to reach Palestinian reconciliation. I tell you, I just want to tell you one thing. There is a Palestinian homework we need to do, one of which chiefly is the reconciliation. But I just want to point, I am from Gaza. I was born in Gaza. Okay. I want to point out one thing. The separation,
we're going to lose the satellite.
No. The separation is not only Palestinian. It's an Israeli. Since 1991, okay. I was prevented from leaving Gaza to go to the West Bank. Israel has induced this Palestinian schism. This is a fact.
Right.
We have to talk about it.
Let me ask Dori Gold. You've just heard that assessment from Ramallah. Do you believe that that will change significantly the prospects if, and he held his fingers up about 2 centimeters apart, saying it's that close between Hamas and Fatah?
Well, again, if Hamas is an organization dedicated to the obliteration of Israel, which it is in its original charter, which it is in the current statements of Hamas leaders, then is that going to bring us any closer to an Israeli-Palestinian agreement?
Yes,
I'm afraid not. I know it makes some people in this audience feel good, but until Hamas transforms itself and is no longer Hamas, is no longer the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood, of the Ikhwan al-Muslimin, then this will not move negotiations forward.
In that case,
it will
I want to
only
stop.
set them back.
Right. We've heard your position from Jerusalem. We've heard your position as well from Ramallah. Let me now turn at the end of our discussion, as I said we would right at the beginning, to Professor Dan Shapiro. Professor Shapiro, you are involved in international negotiation. You run a program at Harvard University. You've heard the emotions and the points put by all sides in this debate. Has your view changed?
I've learned from this conversation 2 big points. First of all, clearly there's emotion in this room. I'd imagine this comes across very easily on TV as well. You can hear the anger. You can hear the fear. You can hear the feelings of injustice, the despair. The question is, how do you then move forward? And here's my second point, observing the situation. This is structured as a debate here. And a debate immediately pits us versus them, Palestinian versus Israeli, and I think that becomes very dangerous ultimately, because that ultimately turns the situation into an us, them, win, lose situation. If negotiation is the track forward, and as I said earlier, I believe it is, given an analysis of the alternatives, how do you shift it so that it is everyone working side by side, dealing with the asymmetries, dealing with the feelings of injustice? How do you move it in that direction? I think that is the challenge. I'm not one who can judge whether that can happen. That ultimately is in the hands of the people of the Middle East.
But from what you've heard, can you see a middle ground? Can you see room for compromise which will achieve something which both sides, all sides, can be comfortable with?
It will take work. I believe it's possible. I think the question is, who are the key actors that will be involved in that process? Yes, of course, the political figures need to be involved in that process. At the same time, the business leaders need to be involved in that process in their own way. The people on the ground, their voices need to be heard, as was suggested earlier in that process. I think the who is not just a simple categorical question of, the 3 or 4 political leaders. The who is the entire region that needs to work toward processes that help to organize toward joint work, positive outcome.
Professor Dan Shapiro, thank you very much indeed. An expert there on negotiation, bringing to an end our debate on are the right people talking in the Middle East peace process. From me, Nick Gowing, here in Marrakesh, in Morocco. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.